All right. Okay. round two. Sorry guys. I've literally it feels like every time I get to the radio station, one of the two things happen. I'm always late or there's some technical difficulty that doesn't like allow me to do what I want to do. So here we go. Now we just need to get Miss Jocelyn in here. Yes, here we go. Add. Wow. Hi, hi. Hi.
There, I'm on. Sorry.
We did it. No, it's so funny because like every time I come to the radio station and do a show, I'm either late or some technical difficulty happens. It's so funny. And so I'm like, this is just my life. This is the Wellness Mama Messy show where nothing usually turns out properly. Awesome, awesome. So again, guys, if you were kind of on the last one, I couldn't get Jocelyn added on, so I had to switch my phone. Yada 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 yada. We are, I don't know, we've got a lot of names for us, I almost feel like, but today I'm calling us the Wellness Mamas. And on on live before, I was just kind of chatting about how um I get a lot of people asking how in the heck I got into like wellness as a financial and life business thing, because it's not something that you go to school for, right? It's like, there's not like doctor and then wellness advocate underneath it, right? And there's not like, not like I'm going to take journalism and then, ooh, chakra course, right? Like we take these things. I took my first chakra course in a church basement by an Australian lady. Like, and then later on, I took my human nutrition course like online. So a lot of people are always so interested on how us gets here. Hey, oh, good morning, everybody. Um, so that's what today's show is about. And if you guys don't know, you've been living under a rock. This is Jocelyn. This babe is she's my hero. And she's joining me every second week, so twice a month. We're gonna be sitting down together like this and just chitty chatting. So thank you so much for making it because it's always so awesome when you're on.
Thanks, Megan.
So yeah. Um, so first off, how are you? How you
Good.
doing?
I was just making
That's
some
good.
um,
Some what?
bulletproof matcha. I just did a live
Oh yeah,
talking about how I do it and how it's so awesome because it's actually really cool. All of
that's
that.
awesome. I made the bullet coffee, and I don't know if I did it right, but it tasted horrible, and it scared me from ever doing it again. But you'll be so proud of me. I threw out my store brand deodorant.
Nice.
Yeah, okay. I if you are like okay, so the last time Jocelyn was on, we were talking. She was talking about how like you should not be using store brand deodorant, and it's so disgusting, and blah 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 blah. And I'm sitting on the other end of the conversation, being like, so I threw it out, and I've been using
Yes.
all natural like handmade deodorant, and I
Nice.
really wanted to let you know that.
That's
So the
awesome. Did you
bullet
find the salt
coffee.
thing?
Sorry?
Did you find the salt crystal thing?
No, I didn't. Just at my shop, there is a lady named Robin Lilly, and she makes deodorant, so I just have that, and it works.
Cool.
I like it. Yeah.
Nice.
So just because we're kind of a little, got a half an hour here because it's a small mess up, but let's totally jump into it. I created this little questionnaire, guys. We probably won't fully follow it because that's how we roll, but it's kind of something to keep us on guide. And we're just literally talking about how we got here and inspiring other people. For me, I like to really talk to young moms because sometimes it feels like our whole life ended after we have a kid. And Jocelyn, you've got two beautiful ones, and look at you go, girl. um, Hosting a workshop weekend thing, like amazing, my dream. Um, because yeah, you have kids, life happens, but you can still follow your goal and your passion and live your life. So right off the bat, who's Jocelyn? Like who? Like I think my question, literally word for word, is um, what was your bring up? How was your childhood? Who were you as a teenager? Like what was what were you?
Okay, that's a super jam-packed question, basically. I don't know. I've always kind of been, I don't know, I'm gonna say like a little bit out of the box. Like I've never tried to fit, I never really fit inside anyone's box. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
I was like always kind of just outside. So doing my own thing or like yeah, I had a lot of ideas and things like that coming like growing up. I have a brother, like I grew up in a small town in BC here and yeah, it's basically that's a lot. There's a lot about that. But basically
It's a big
I
question,
grew up
hey?
in yeah, I grew up around Fernie, but when I kind of could around it, I was like 16, I moved around, I started traveling and like everything just shifted once I got out of the box that I was like semi trying to fit into it. And like, maybe
Yeah.
would that be like society box or like whatever, like your peers or whatever, but it's like I was trying to almost fit into it, but then after I was like 16, I was like, you know what, like I don't have to fit into it and that's fine. And like that's where I've been
Yeah.
ever since, is like I'm on my own, I'm kind of alone, a little bit of a lone wolf, but always was striving to find my tribe and feeling really
Yeah.
alone, but at the same time safe and like okay with the aloneness. But then
Yeah.
yeah, traveling really changed my whole life. So I'm a massive advocate for travel. I'm a massive advocate for following your intuition and get the hell out of your like society's kind
Out
of
of your little box.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because like we are so the same and also different, and that's how kind of how I was too. And I've been recently having these flashbacks of growing up. And yesterday I put the story out on my Facebook, and when I was in grade 7 I had to write a paper on what was normal, defining normal. And that paper ended up I was in the principal's office, and then every day after that I was like sitting in a room with psychiatrists like getting tested on like there. And I still have no idea what I was getting tested on, but I always felt out of the box, like there was something different or whatever. And because of that, I was always trying to find things to do that like spoke to me.
Yeah.
And and then now I'm like, huh, I wonder if, that time in my life where I was getting tested on put me, to this place of trying to find my way, my life, and why am I different? And maybe I was different because I'm supposed to do this, you know, be this person that tells people it's okay to be different.
Yeah.
um, and it's a very big question, but I actually created a question off of somebody who came into my store and asked me. He was like, "Who are you? What are you doing? I see you every day. Like, who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't I mean, like I grew up pretty interesting, but yeah, I'm like the middle child. I have two brothers, technically three, but I'm adopted. And so being also adopted into a white Mennonite family, like my family, like my dad's name is Ernest and my mom's name is Frances. Like like that's how beautifully Mennonite they are. And they adopted us. And then, a strange upbringing coming back to Canada. And then, I was homeschooled and my mom made homemade bread. And then this whole world happened where I was meant to be different. Um, and so you said you at 16 is when you kind of started traveling. Where was the first place you went? You're like from this little BC place. Where did you go?
Yeah, totally. So I moved to Kamloops actually to finish my high school, and then kind of hung out there for a bit and went over to the east in like Ontario area. And then it's all due to like relationships I had at the time or like family members just getting out of Fernie and getting out of like our little bubble. Because often when we grow up in these small towns, we're just like, I hate it here, just so miserable and like all the things. But then once we get out, we're like, man, this place is where it's at, right? We got to get out
Yeah.
to fully appreciate it. Yeah. So, and then from there, I kind of came back to Fernie for a bit, and then I started my overseas traveling and was gone for
Mhm.
about 5 years.
Okay. Where I know this is somewhere in my question, like um while you're traveling, did you have like a moment where you were just like, oh yeah, okay, this is what I was supposed to do? Or like,
Mm,
like a lot of people feel like they find themselves when they travel, and then a lot of people don't travel because they're scared to travel to find, you know what I mean? So do you think you mainly found yourself like overseas?
yeah. So when I came back to Fernie after being in Ontario, I actually saw in the local newspaper that there was this first ever yoga teacher training in my town. And I was like, I'm there.
Yeah.
Like I am there yesterday kind of thing. And that sparked a lot of change in my life and my like growth as a person for sure. That opened a lot. And that kind of like finally for the first time in my life, I literally feel that that was my like sitting down in that room with those people. I was like, these are my people. Like these are my people. This is what I've been talking about my whole life, and nobody's understood what I'm talking about. Even my family's not natural health minded by really any degree, but yeah. So that was my first thing, and then that kind of sparked um, an overseas an overseas travel, and then yeah, traveling. It's like I didn't have that feeling of being like, oh, this is what I'm meant for. I'm meant to travel. Like I know that I like grew the most while traveling and got to know myself
Hmm.
a lot while traveling. But I think the yoga and like the inward work is what kind of grew me first, and then the travel.
Yeah.
But I
Then
know
the travel.
travel
Yeah.
will always be a part of my life for sure. But it's not like I was not ever like content when I'm traveling in these countries and these places. I've been to many, many countries. It was like I'm always looking for something, right?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people, especially like, people in that transition phase, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go to this place because I need to find this, and I need to find this. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, like, sorry, but like, you're not going to find anything there. You're going to find it in here, right? So
Yeah.
that was what I
Yeah.
did while traveling for sure.
That's amazing. And I know, so there are like, there's years between us. Like I'm 26, and also I actually have no idea how old you are, but you don't have to tell anybody.
I'm 29.
Um,
I'm
you're
29.
20, you're only, wow, yeah, and you're still so young. So it's like we have a few years between us, um, and this is what I love because I was 20 when I first kind of got into Fernie. And so I was in Lethbridge and I got to this new place, and this is like where I say like this is where my life started.
Mhm.
So I get what you're saying, but it is so scary finding yourself, even if you're like overseas or away. And it's like sometimes I wonder if that fear wasn't there in people, if people would go and find their true selves, because it is a super scary moment. I remember like my messiest week. Okay, like if anybody wonders what Fernie is like, I call Fernie the vicious town. It either like it will chew you up, it will like make you strong, and it will spit you out if you can't handle it. And I have seen so many people come and then leave because they're and then they try to come back and then they just can't handle it. And I don't know if that's been like that with you at all, if you've seen that, but like I saw it a lot of times, and I went through this really messy week, and this is probably the first time I was like, okay, slap in the face. I got drunk every single day.
Mhm.
Like I was a mess. Like I I was having this major issue, and then I remember I was walking home, and I kind of just stopped, and I started like sobbing. I just started sobbing, and I was like, what am I doing with myself? And it was probably like the end of my messy week. And then I had to go to circus practice. And I remember getting there early, and I was just like laying on the ground, like so hungover slash so drunk. And then I had one of the circus girls come in, and she just hugged me. That's all she did. She didn't even see me crying. She didn't know what my week was like. And she just hugged me. And it was this sense of like, this is what I'm supposed to do. It
Mm-hmm.
was just be me, messy and wonderful and weird all at the same time. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of my first entry of like finding myself, being a drunken mess for a week. Yeah. Woohoo!
That's awesome.
It happens. It's scary. Um, so you've got two little munchkins now. Where were you when you like had your kids, your first one? Were you in
Um,
Fernie or were you elsewhere?
no, I was elsewhere. It actually, like, I feel like it started when I was on my travels. Like, I was literally, like I said, looking for something, but I was in the hills in I want to say I was in Spain in the mountains, and I was just like sitting there in like a literal on a literal mountain, like hiking around or whatever, sitting there, and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, like traveling's been awesome, but like I'm done traveling alone. Like it might have been Spain, or it actually might have been in Bulgaria, but it's like it was, 6 years ago now, but at that, or probably about 5 years ago, at that time, I had been through a lot of solo traveling because I always traveled alone. And as a single female traveling through like Europe, but also like parts of like Eastern Europe, where it is like really male dominant and a lot of masculine stuff going on. I was like, I'm finished with traveling alone, but there's also like a piece of me that felt fulfilled by the travel, but also kind of like left kind of empty from it. I'm like, I'm not even enjoying this. I'm literally just like moving on all the time to search for something that I don't even know what I'm looking for. So I was sitting there and I was like,
Yeah.
just reflecting and thinking like, what am I doing with my life? What do I want to do? Like, where should I be? And I was like, I got to go home, and I'm ready to support another human. I'm ready to take care of somebody else, and I know that I'm going to go home and I'm going to do that. So I didn't keep in mind I haven't had a relationship in like 5 years. Like I haven't had any sort of like it's true, but it's I haven't had any sort of faith in the male race. Sorry, but
Yeah.
like that
Oh,
was
I've been there. Yeah.
just because my upbringing and all of my like scenarios and experiences just led me to believing that like that's not what I don't need a man or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when I was sitting there in those hills, though, that's why I'm talking about this, relating to like when I had my child, is because I was sitting there and I literally believed so hard in the law of attraction. I was there and I put that out into the universe. Like, I'm so ready to take care of another human. I'm ready to do more with this life and like dedicate my life pretty much to a little human. And
Yeah.
that's when it's like it switched. I literally, like, not long after that, I kept traveling for a little bit, but in my being, I knew I had to go home. And so I went back home
Yeah.
and to Fernie, and or actually, did I go back to Fernie? No, I flew back home to Vancouver, and then I actually went to a Vipassana um, meditation for 10 days when I first got back
Okay.
in Merritt, and that was a massive game changer. But I also believe that we as women hold eggs in our, we have our eggs, right, ready for ready for children. But like, there's lots of studies that show like the kind of whatever, like the child that is formed and created from those eggs or from that egg, the
Mhm.
impact that like the past 3 months, wherever the mother was in the past 3 months, like emotionally, physically, energetically, has such a massive direct like response to that child's development and that child's even like demeanor and outlook and all the things like that. So having that 3 months of like I was like in my zone. I went back to Vancouver, went to this
Yeah.
Merit Vipassana training, or retreat. Right before the retreat, I had this idea that I was like, oh, I wonder where that guy is that I met in New
Yeah.
Zealand. Like and I was
Yeah.
like, just thought of him for a second, but again, that law of attraction thing, right? I just thought of it. Our thoughts create our reality. He messaged me. I wasn't even friends with him on Facebook or anything, like no connection with him. He messaged me like that day.
Yeah.
Not even kidding. That's how fast.
Wow.
And he's
Wow.
in like not too far from Merritt. So that's when I went to the Vipassana training or the retreat and literally just like had an incredible time for 10 days, and then went and saw him after, and I conceived Macawi like my next cycle. So,
Wow.
but I didn't know him, right? And so I was recreating
Yeah.
patterns from my
Yeah.
childhood, right? And when I was sitting
Yeah.
in those hills in that country saying, I'm ready for a child, I did not say, I'm ready for a man to take care of me and is strong, like,
Mhm.
just like so generous, so like all the things, like this ideal mate that I'd want. I didn't say that.
Mhm.
All I said was, I want a child,
I
right?
was,
So that's
yeah.
what was
And then
delivered.
it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that that is so crazy and so real. And it's just like, some of you are just like could be like, oh, the law of attraction, that's bullshit. I say what I want, blah, 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 blah. I totally 100% stand behind the law of attraction. It is so true. It's like you can write down things that you want, but you also have to do necessary steps as well. You have to help the universe along, right? And you being like sitting, across seas, being like, I'm ready to bring another life into this world. You came back home and like brought it forth. Where some people can be like, I want $1 million, and then they just keep going and throwing their money away, and then they're like, why aren't I rich? Law of attraction, guys, come on. And it's just like, no, it doesn't work like that. You can't just be like,
Totally.
I want $1 million and then continue to throw your money away,
Or,
or I want a kid and then continue to, it doesn't
mhm.
work like that. And this is why I love talking to you, and I love that we're friends, is because we're we had opposite ways on this whole child bringing. It's like you're like, I'm ready for a kid, and I'm just like, Shambhala, Shambhala. like, I'm like totally on the. And for me, my kid thing, it totally happened. Um, I was at this point in my life where I was kind of like, okay, well, I would need a little bit more. I loved what I was doing, but I wanted to adventure a little bit more. And so true, Fernie is like a little fishbowl. You gotta get out. And so I had three choices. I could go to a dance school down in the States. I met a group of friends who were going on their Thailand trip. They go like every year. Or I could just go home for a bit. And I had enough money saved up to do one of those things. And then sure enough, my doctor's like, you're pregnant. I'm like, no. But and I guess I was like, that was how it was, and I wasn't ready for it, guys. I'm not even afraid to be ashamed of this. Is that I wasn't ready. Jocelyn was ready. I wasn't ready. I called the abortion clinic. I'm not even afraid to say it. And so if any of you ladies are like in my spot being like, oh, Jocelyn, and oh, you were ready and I wasn't ready, it's like literally, hi, I wasn't ready. I called the abortion clinic. I didn't call them back. That was the thing. And it took me a while to like realize that like this is what my next step was. And I that was also when I really started digging back into the law of attraction, and I did so much journaling and I did so much walking and figuring out. And I remember I was sitting down at the river and I just like stopped and looked up, and it was kind of just like, oh, okay. Oh. And then I started replaying all these little small moments that was like, oh, okay, so the universe was trying to tell me something, but I was basically just like, no, I've got too much partying to do to listen to your positive signs of what I need for myself. And so now that's why I'm here. And that's why I love being friends with you and talking with you, because it's like totally opposite stories, but on the same track. Um, so it's no surprise, neither one of us are with our men. I don't know how you feel about talking about yours, no pressure. I only like to say that it's his story to tell. And so I don't normally talk about him, but I will let everybody know he and I do have contact. He will message me when he kind of feels like it. And I wish him well, and I wish him full life with everything. He's a brilliant man if he decides to be that way. So coming from there, now here we are. I have a kid. You have two wonderful, beautiful kids. Yours in Fernie. I'm back in Lethbridge. We both are now with two different men, or like as in we're not with our fathers of our children. Are you comfortable talking about your man at all, or like, and what he does for you? Because I know that he supports the hat out of you, and it's amazing.
Yeah, totally. He's pretty awesome. Um, well, like it's really funny because again, that law of attraction thing, but I was like literally so firm in my belief that I don't need a man. Like I was like, I don't even have, like I got hard blinders on. I'm not even looking anywhere because I got like head down, 100% mom, and then 100% business, and that's it. There's no time outside of that for me. But then I was like, I was journaling for a bit there. I was like, I need a nanny. I have my business. I'm taking my business on the road. We're going on this big trip in the summertime. All these classes, I teach oil classes and educate people on natural health care. And I was just like, I need a nanny. Like, how the heck am I going to do this trip without a nanny? And then I drive down to Salt Lake City every year too. And I did it the year before with my kids, but like Sequoia was like 4 months old, so she slept the whole time. But this year, that just passed, I was like, hard, I need a nanny. So I was journaling all of these like possibilities, right? I was like, okay, I come down to it, like I need someone that's gonna live with me, cook for us, clean my house, take care of my kids, and yeah. And in my head, I had this thought, remember, our thoughts create reality, like this thought, sounds like I need like a freaking man that's like onto everything. But I'm like, my was like, my other brain
like you need the Mary Poppins of men.
Right? But no joke, my other brain was like, dude, that doesn't even exist. That doesn't exist because of my upbringing and my experience. I'm like, men are just like whatever, useless. They don't even know, like they're not intuitive at all. And they don't even like kids. That was my idea. They don't even like kids. And then all of a sudden, like you just said, Mary Poppins of men came out of nowhere, like nowhere, you guys. I don't hang out anywhere there's men. I don't actively meet men. I had my blinders on hard, okay? I was like literally head down. And there one night I had to go teach a class and my sitter canceled. And there's this guy next door that was watching my friend's kids. And I saw him, because we have a joined backyard, I saw him playing with my kids sometimes. And I was just like, who is this like weird, like who's this guy? I didn't even talk to him because I just like head down, right? I'm not very social. Yeah. And and then that night I was like, God, I need a sitter so bad, like at my classes tonight and I don't have a sitter. So I was like, hey, do you mind like watch my kids while I go teach yoga? Like, just like I don't even know him. And he was like, sure. And I was
like, I'm like laughing already, guys, because I know how the story ends. Okay, like and this is why I was like, Justin, talk about this, because it's all about, find your support system too. But I'm laughing because I know how the story ends. But yes, please keep going about that. Just babysit your kids.
It's funny because this is how the law of attraction works. This was one of my scenarios, you guys, and he came out of nowhere. And like, I was like, okay, you can watch my kids. That's awesome. That's amazing. And then life went on, right? Life went on. We, saw him once in a while, and like, he wanted to kind of hang out with us because he just like loved my kids. And I was like, who is this guy? And then I was like, damn, I have to find a nanny. I have to find a nanny because I got to go on this trip. And he's like, well, like looking at me, and I was like, well, like, do you want to come? And like, I was just like sarcastically though, I was like, what, do you want to come? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll come. I was like, what? Like, you can't even, like, what's not a thing? And he's like, yeah, I'm like in between jobs right now. I'm actually like, I was just about to move house too. So like, I don't have to move to my new house until whenever. And like, I'll just come with you guys and then I'll just start my job when I get back. And I was like, well, I was like, okay, well, come on this trip with us as my nanny, watching my kids. Well, and I'm just like, seriously, still driving, like head forward, blinders on, not even like even open to the possibility of anything happening or any relationship building other than friendship. And yeah, it was really funny because it was just we were like continuing on our trip. We're 2 weeks into our trip. We're still like, we're good. He's seen the good. He's seen the real bad. He's seen the super stressed out Jocelyn. He's seen the worst, right? And then like one day a friend actually was like, dude, he's pretty good looking. And I was like, he is?
That's what I thought the first time I saw him. I was just like, this is just your nanny? I'm like, this cannot just be your nanny.
But that's just like, that's how hard my focus was on, right?
Yeah.
Not having that. And yeah, and then after that, after she said that, it actually like, because it kind of switched something. I was like, you know what, he actually is. Like, and then the possibility arose, and whatever, it's history. It's amazing. But it's like
Yeah.
he chooses
Yeah.
to be here with my kids, and lets me do the working right now. That's what I'm doing, is I'm working while he takes the kids to all the things, and like he's amazing. It's like literally Mary Poppins.
Laud, yeah, and you laud. How do you? I don't even know how to make a funny thing out of it. You lauded a laud of attraction and got your Mary Poppins. Like you, and it's like I just love the story because you were just like, I need a nanny, boom. But some of you were like, I need a man, and then all of a sudden the universe was just like, boop. But you were still
like
so
sometimes
like,
when we ask, though, we ask for these things, we like don't even open to the possibility, or we're not even in the receiving mode. We're like literally like, I need $1 million, like, or I want $1 million. We're just like focused on having $1 million. We're just like so focused on the lack of not having it, right? Or like the lack of not having a nanny. I was like so focused on what a nanny might look like. But since I did that journaling and got really clear on like the possibilities, then the universe chose the path of least resistance, and it happened.
Exactly.
Manifested it.
And yeah, and and it's just, that was my, like, this kind of the same for me. I was like, at this point where I was like, I need something different. And, little did I know, like, I was 3 months pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. So went to at least 7 different festivals before I found out I was pregnant. And here I am just like wandering around, the grounds being like, I need more. I need more, people coming up to me and telling me, oh, you're such a great dancer, and have you heard of this, or maybe you should try that. And I'm like, and little did I know that there was this tiny little life inside of me that was about to give me more. And, this, and now here, here we are. And I totally saw the future when I saw you in the summer. Is that for?
Yeah, Leela's my girl, and in Argenta there. Thanks, Leela. I know it's pretty magical.
So nice. Yeah, and and so now here we are sitting here with total different laws of attraction, but now we're friends and doing this together, and here we are. And so, just kind of like, this all kind of came up with that question from the guy in my store the other day, was like, who are you and how did you get here? And blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I need to create a show around this because literally just a lot of attraction, different things. And like I said, time and time again, this is why I love chatting with you and having you in my life, because it's like we're at so different ends of the street, but so on the same path. I need more, but it just happened in different ways. So, guys, like, my biggest thing, is don't try to make your life somebody else's life. I have so many like Instagram motivational people that I love, and I'm like, that's not my life though. That's their life. And sometimes I even look at Jocelyn's Instagram and I'm like, ugh. I'm like, no. She's on a fully different world of life, and this is the path that I'm on. So to kind of wrap it up, to stay slightly on schedule, so that the next person who doesn't come storming in and me be like, sorry, we're still busy. Last but not least, the question that I would love to hear from you is, if sometimes some people want to know, like, they'll put in the worry of, I wonder what people would say if I died, like if you could watch your own like eulogy or whatever. So kind of in that form, do you think people would say about you?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I'd hope they'd say like something. So of course, but I don't know. I don't know. The word that came to mind was unique. So I don't know. For
unique.
Sure. What would you say?
And you have a very unique story. Batshit crazy. Can I just put that into one question, one answer? Like, I'm pretty sure everybody would say she was batshit crazy. But she
and I'm
had an
eating. I'm like,
idea.
I
Sorry?
I love polar opposites of like I love
Yeah.
this like Leela just said it. This show is awesome. Like we're just like complete opposites on the same track, but like we need to cut like there needs to be some sort of like this is like opposite show coming on.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I love it.
It's
Love
such
it.
like an opposite, but a good opposite. It's like unique, batshit crazy. I want a baby, more Shambhala. Like, it's like woo! It's so good. I think that is like probably the best way to end this show today. Um, like I said before, Jocelyn and I, we have these things and then we just go off. So actually, we went into a topic that we were going to talk about later on, law of attraction. So maybe we'll continue this later on. There was a few more questions on here that I wanted to talk about, but you know what? The show went in a perfectly wonderful place. So again, and like always, Jocelyn, it is such a pleasure to have you on here, sharing and talking. And I hope if any of you were listening, and I hope out of the one thing that you got was, or two things actually, was don't be scared to find yourself. Don't be afraid of that. It's gonna be scary. You might spend a week drunk like me, or off traveling Eastern Europe in masculine dominated countries. Like, don't be scared. Just follow your heart, follow your intuition. And don't try to put your life into somebody else's life, make it your life. You are your own person. You have your own life. Like Jocelyn and I, we're same, but so different, but we're still supporting each other to keep going on the same road. So guys, it's just me next week. Jocelyn is on the next week, so we'll continue this lovely, fun conversation. Always a pleasure, my girl. We'll share this. If you want to hear more of Jocelyn's story, please follow her. I will tag her in this and spread it around everywhere. If you have questions for her, let her know. She loves thy questions. So do I. So let us know. And like always, have a beautiful and blessed Thursday. Ciao, everybody. Bye, Jay.